Pendle Hill isn't just another hiking spot. It's the most haunted hill in England, the site of the 1612 witch trials, where 10 people were executed for witchcraft. Locals say their spirits never left. Hikers hear voices calling their names. Investigators are pushed by unseen hands, and some never make it through a night on the slopes. So I did the one thing you're not supposed to. I went there alone, at midnight, with nothing but a torch and my ghost hunting gear. And what I captured still makes my skin crawl. It was just after midnight when I parked at the base of Pendle Hill. The sky was clear, the moon sitting low. The place felt eerie the second I stepped out of the car. It was quiet, but not peaceful. The path was narrow, with old dry stone walls on either side. My boots crunched on the gravel, and even that sounded too loud, like the noise didn't belong there. Pendle Hill isn't just a hill, it's a graveyard of history. In 1612, 12 people from the area were accused of witchcraft. 10 were hanged at Lancaster Castle. 1 was found not guilty. 1 died in prison before the trial. It was the testimony of a 9-year-old girl named Janet Device that was enough to condemn her own family death. As I walked, I thought about that trial, and about the fear and paranoia that ruined lives. I wondered if those voices from the past were still echoing here. About 20 minutes into the climb, I stopped to check my gear. The EMF meter was steady at baseline, nothing unusual. Then the air shifted. No breeze, no warning. Just heavy, like the atmosphere dropped a weight on my shoulders. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, the EMF jumped into the red. I froze. I switched on the spirit box. Static tore through the night. For a few seconds, nothing. Then a woman's voice came through, clear, as if she was standing right behind me. It said, 9. My heart slammed in my chest. Ghost hunters have claimed for years that Pendle Hill is haunted by 9 spirits. Mediums, investigators, even TV shows have reported it. I never thought I'd hear it myself. I whispered nervously, "If you're here, I mean no disrespect." That's when I felt a hand on my back, pushing me forward. Not hard, but firm enough that I stumbled a step. I spun around. There was nothing there. Just the empty path and the moor, stretching into darkness. I carried on climbing the hill, my torch beam shaking over the grass. Then I caught movement up ahead. Something darted between the heather. It was human-shaped, solid, but too fast to be a person, too clear to be imagination. I shouted, "Who's there?" There was no answer, just silence. Then, from somewhere close, I heard a creepy, long, ragged breath, right by my ear. Then I started hearing whispers like someone was having a conversation in the distance. Faint, broken, like overlapping voices. I looked around, but there was no one else in sight. The EMF screamed red again. My whole body went cold. I wasn't alone on that hill. There's an area halfway up where people say Malkin Tower once stood, the place where the accused witches were said to gather. Nobody knows the exact spot anymore, but some say it was right there, in those ruins. I stopped and decided to try an EVP session. I held the recorder out and asked the names. Demdike, Chattox, Alizon Device, Elizabeth Device, Alice Nutter. I left silence between each one. On the playback, I heard something. After Elizabeth Device, a low female voice whispered, "Child." And then, again, faint but clearer, "Jeanette." The girl who testified against her own family, the one history never let forget. Hearing that name on my recorder made my stomach drop. I pushed on, telling myself I'd just go to the top of the hill, then head straight back down. That's when I smelled something. Out of nowhere, the air filled with perfume, old-fashioned, sweet, but with something sour underneath, like flowers left too long in water. I stopped dead. There was nothing around me, just the hill. The smell drifted past my shoulder, and I felt it, like someone brushing by me in the dark. I whispered, "If you're here, I'm stepping aside. Please, go past." My body reacted like a woman had just walked right by. I heard a faint metallic sound, like bangles or glass clinking together. Then it was gone. The air cleared, and I was left standing alone. I finally reached the summit. The trig point stood solid in the moonlight. The wind picked up again, cold and sharp. I set the spirit box down and asked, "Do you want me to pray, or do you want me to be quiet?" The static broke. A male voice said one word, "Quiet." I nodded, out loud, and said, "Okay, I'll be quiet." But then, right in my ear, outside the box, a woman's voice whispered, "Come up." I was already at the top. I knew what it meant. Not the hilltop. Somewhere higher. Somewhere I didn't want to follow. I gripped the trig point until my knuckles hurt and said firmly, "Not tonight." The EMF dropped back to 0. Dead still. On the way back down the hill, I kept my torch low, scanning the verge. That's when I saw it, a light in the dip. Pale, glowing, about the size of a fist, floating just above the ground. I froze. The light drifted a few feet, stopped, then faded out. There was no reason for it to be there. I looked around looking for where the light could have came from, but I was the only one stupid enough to be on the hill at that time of the night. It must have been a ghost light hanging in the air like it was watching me. The hairs on my body were standing on end. I decided I'd experienced enough. I whispered, "I see you. I'm leaving now." The last stretch of the path felt longer than the whole climb. That's when I realized I wasn't walking alone. I heard footsteps, right beside me, almost perfectly in sync with mine, half a pace out. When I stopped, they didn't. They carried on for 2 steps, then silence. I lifted the thermal. There was a column of cold air shaped like a person, pacing me step for step. I just wanted to get out of this place now. I spoke nervously. "You can walk me to the gate, but don't follow me home. This is your place. I'm leaving now." The footsteps stopped instantly, and the hill fell silent. When I reached the gate, my car looked like the safest thing in the world. I packed my gear, turned to thank the hill for letting me leave, and laid my hand on the gatepost. The wood was warm. Everything else around me was freezing. I whispered, "Thank you." As I drove off, there were 4 taps on the back window. Deliberate, evenly spaced. I didn't look back. I just wanted to get out of there. Pendle Hill is more than history, more than folklore. It's a place that holds on to what happened and to who died here. I'm glad I got to have the experience, but I'd never visit again. If you ever decide to climb Pendle Hill at night, remember this: they don't forget, and they don't forgive. If this story kept you looking over your shoulder, then make sure you subscribe to Truth is Terror, because there are more real hauntings, darker than this one, still to come. Hit the like button if you believe the witches of Pendle still walk the hill, and let me know in the comments, would you dare to climb it at midnight? Don't forget to turn on the notification, the bell, because next time, you'll want to be ready when the terror begins. Until next time, sleep well.